So, Nerd Supernova. I'm your host, Paul Michaels, and
I'm KJ McDermott.
Yep.
What's up?
So, sorry we haven't made a podcast in a little while. We've been kind of more sporadic with Christmas breaks and all, and then we decided to do one.
It's now February.
Yeah, we decided to do one with my friend Dan for the best movies of what we've felt and stuff. And either way, we're back now. We kind of wanted to do this earlier, but we wanted to kind of balance it out with DC and Marvel. So today we're going to be talking about the DC special that aired a couple weeks back, showcasing all of Batman v Superman, concept art for Flash and Justice League, as well as Wonder Woman footage. And the other part being all the Marvel Superbowl TV spots, everything from Deadpool, Civil War, and X-Men Apocalypse.
I really want a Coca-Cola. I mean, for some reason, I really want a Coke. Wait, is that part of it?
Coca-Cola was part of, actually, I think the advertising with Batman v Superman. Dr. Pepper, I think, is the other stuff, right?
I thought Coca-Cola was Hulk Ant-Man.
Oh, that's right. Coca-Cola did help.
Yeah,
that's right.
That
the
was
Ant-Man
that I was making.
The Ant-Man Coke. Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's start. I guess let's just start off.
Coca-Cola soothes the savage beast.
Oh my God. Let's just start off with the DC special that we had and just go over that stuff because we've talked about it before. But let's just talk about what we liked most. I'll have you start because you're more Marvel. But I want to hear what you thought as far as like what you saw.
Well,
what you liked.
I saw you had seen it before I watched it with you, and so you had already seen the whole thing. And I mean, I love Kevin Smith. You know, I love Kevin Smith.
I love Kevin Smith too. Yeah,
super nerd already.
Cool dude.
And cool dude, smart guy, great director, great writer. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. Perfect host for it, especially to connect with the fan base and to get somebody who's as enthusiastic as the fan base. I'm waiting for him to be a director of one of these movies.
Here's the thing. So I don't think the directing's ever going to happen. Maybe if they want him to be a consultant.
I would love him as like a director on one of these movies.
So okay, well I'm going to go back to that because first I love the fact that they got Jeff Johns.
You know he'll do it justice. Like
I feel like he would try his best. I feel like he would try his best, but I feel he'd be better for a more low key superhero because.
Well, I don't mean for like the Justice League movie.
No. Okay, but
if he did a Green Lantern movie, I would. Maybe,
we'll see where it would go. Here's the thing about Kevin Smith.
They're getting rumors Ben Affleck is going to be the director for Batman.
Yeah, but Ben Affleck has a much different filmography than Kevin Smith does. Okay, look. Here's
a Plastic Man for Kevin Smith.
I would actually watch that. Okay,
there we go.
All right, so here's the thing. So I want to just bounce back and say, like I was saying, I love the fact that they got Jeff Johns and Kevin Smith to do it. Jeff Johns because he's pretty much like one of the master architects of like modern DC comics. He also has a huge experience with film and television. Kevin Smith, same idea. He pretty much he's like us. He's a campaign for both awesome stuff coming from Marvel, which he's been doing a lot of Marvel stuff lately, but he's also a huge DC fan. He loves DC stuff, especially Batman. So I thought it was great that he was there.
The Fat Man on Batman?
The Fat Man. Batman? Well, some people don't know about that. Yeah, he does a podcast called Fat Man on Batman, which is basically turned into Fat Man on Comics because it hasn't been about Batman stuff for a while. But that being said, he's a huge comic book nerd fan. That's what I wanted to basically state. So I haven't seen a lot of his newer stuff. I've seen Red State. I haven't seen Tusk. I haven't seen Yoga Houses yet
either, and everybody's telling me to.
I've heard mixed things about it, but I still want to see it. I like him as a director for the most part. I think right now he's definitely in a more experimental phase of his career. He's even said that, like he's not trying to do a Skewiverse anymore, but he likes the fan base still of those films. And I think he's a talented guy. I don't know if he could handle like a level of like say Superman and Batman or Justice League, but I think a more low key hero I would like to see him tackle or do something. But I like him because I agree with you. He's definitely a hardcore fan. He's definitely a comic book nerd.
The best writers and the best directors for all these movies have already been fans to begin with.
Yeah,
if you
that's the difference
series,
now.
That's
the difference now between Hollywood, 15 years ago and Hollywood now.
The people who actually know the source material, appreciate it, know the fan base, and value their opinion, and go into it.
Are in positions of power to make these things.
That enthusiasm. To be prideful of what they make.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think even with Warner Brothers, they're doing a different model than Marvel, but I would argue with anybody that yes, you can be anti Man of Steel, and I respect if you don't like it, I get that, but I love that movie in a lot of ways because there's a lot of death, but you only have to watch. I mean, I'm not saying Zack Snyder is a perfect director. I don't like a good handful of his movies, but you can watch Watchmen or Man of Steel, and that is a guy that loves comic books. That's what I honestly feel, and I feel like with his vision, or at least tackling the heroes, is something interesting and different than what you would get from, say, like a Michael Bay or some crazy.
If Michael
director.
Bay ever attaches himself to DC or Marvel, I will personally fly out there,
bitch slap him.
Yeah, slap him in the face.
But anyway, back to Kevin Smith. So yes, him doing this with Jeff Johns was awesome. Some people may not know this. I know you know this, but they were so appreciative of him doing that and helping doing this big special to help promote all the films. They
paid Kevin Smith in a baseball bat.
I don't know. I don't know what the payment was.
I was making a joke because they gave him the Harley.
But they gave him the Harley Quinn baseball bat that was.
And
used
it's adorable that he gave his daughter Harley Quinn the bat. And if you haven't seen the video, look it up. It's actually kind of.
Oh, I didn't know there was a video. No, there's a picture. But yeah, people who don't know, he named his daughter Harley Quinn Smith after the Harley Quinn character. He's also good friends with Paul Dini, who co-created the character to begin with. So that's really cool.
I got in an argument. This is totally besides the point. Okay. I got in an argument with somebody on a Facebook post a while ago about Suicide Squad, and somebody was bitching about how Harley Quinn. They were like, Harley Quinn's not a blonde, blah blah blah. And I was like, are you joking? Like, do you know who this character is at all? And like, I went on like a tirade, like a paragraph to like put this person in place, and then everybody on the rest of the post just kept being like, yeah, read this, like, yeah, because you're an idiot.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's go into Suicide Squad, because one of the hugest things that was represented in the DC special was the Suicide Squad trailer. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have you talk first, and then I'm going to defend, because no, because
I already know what I'm going to say.
No, because I know that you're like looking forward to the film, but I know that you have your reservations, and I totally understand.
It's one of those movies that I'm going to reserve judgment until I actually see it. I'm a huge Joker and Harley
Quinn fan. Yeah, no, I understand.
That, like a good majority of people, when I first saw the Jared Leto Joker pictures, I hated it immediately. I was like, who the fuck is this, and what did they do with the Joker? After watching more of the trailers and stuff, I'm opening up to the idea, and I'm waiting to see the performance. I'm going to wait to see what he does with the character. The outfits that I saw in the new trailers are great, because like the tuxedo one, like
that's right out of the comics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like great, perfect. The laugh where he's sitting there with like a circle of knives around him, where like he's got like that maniacal laugh. I'm warming up to it. I'll still wait to see
how it goes. Because we don't know what their take is going to be on.
Also drive the character more, because the actual storyline, if they have the Joker doing something that's unjokeristic, even if he's got the Joker character down to a T, if he's doing stuff that the character wouldn't do, that would hurt it. I don't see that happening, but still, that's what I'm saying. I'll reserve judgment.
Now, I just want to ask you a question. Because I know you're behind in a lot of the more animated stuff. Have you seen Batman: Assault on Arkham, the animated DC movie?
No, I don't believe so.
It's a movie that takes place within the Arkham game universe, but you should definitely check it out, because...
Is Mark Hamill voiced?
No, they have Troy Baker voicing it, who voices the younger Joker, but it's supposed to take place between Origins and, I think, Asylum. That being said, it's actually... What it is that it's actually a Suicide Squad movie. But they knew if they put on Suicide Squad, it wouldn't sell, because people outside of like fandom, don't really know what Suicide Squad is. So, but to connect to the Arkham games is a good way to get it to sell, because they have Kevin Conroy come back as Batman as well. It's a Suicide Squad movie, and honestly, it deals with Harley Quinn and the Suicide Squad and a bunch of other stuff, as well as the Joker, and them doing stuff at Arkham Asylum and getting crossed hairs with like the Riddler and Joker and all these other characters and stuff. And I feel like DC's kind of taking this live action film is taking kind of like a note out of that, like that take, because we do know for a fact that Ben Affleck is going to be in the movie as well as Batman. He's not just going to be like Bruce Wayne walking around. We've even seen stuff in the first trailer, the Comic-Con trailer.
They were leaked photos and everything with him, with Jared Leto, on set and everything.
So
don't know how in depth, but
I'm going to tell you my impressions as a DC fan. The first time I saw the Joker photo, I had your apprehension. I wasn't like as negative, but
I'm pretty sure like 90% of people who saw it were just like, what the fuck?
I was like, what is this? That was my
face tattoos and like the grill.
Yeah, I was very like put off by it, and then they had the cast photo where you had all of the characters looking grim and dark, and I was like, I wanted to be a little bit more colorful. I wasn't a fan of the photos. I will admit that, but.
I'm not looking for like Cesar Romero.
No. Neither am I. But what I'm saying is, when the trailers came out, I was less apprehensive because I saw what they were doing, or I saw like what their take was. Here's how I feel, though, at least as far as the new Joker is concerned. I think his look is great if they just took off the tattoos. Everything else is Joker. Like you can read like a Grant Morrison book with the way Joker looks. He looks identical to Jared Leto. Same with even Scott Snyder's current run, just minus the grill and the tattoos. The grill, however, is explained because it's
Batman punches his teeth out.
Yeah, it's assumed very much right now that the Batman, when we meet him at this point, has basically already lost the Jason Todd Robin. For people who don't know the mythos, he has a Robin who dies, and it was killed at the hands of the Joker.
Killed at the hands of the fans.
Well, yes, that too, yeah. But it was actually a vote on fans, and fans decided to kill off Jason Todd. But in the comics, the Joker kills him, or is impactful towards his death. So it's assumed that he has the grill metal teeth because his teeth were punched out by Batman.
Well, Batman doesn't kill him; he beats him to a pulp.
He beats the living crap out of him. As for the tattoos, I assume they're going to be explained because I think they know instinctively the fans are going to be like, why the tattoos? My theory is, and I don't know if this is anything to go off of, but it's assumed that Batman went into retirement and then is coming out of it because Superman comes along. So my guess is, because it's slightly based off Dark Knight Returns, in the comic, he goes into retirement. Joker goes into a catatonic state. In this reality, we don't know. He's
got no rival anymore.
Yeah, we don't know.
To live for?
We don't know what the Joker's been doing for so many years in Arkham Asylum, because he has no reason to escape. What he might have done to try to get Batman to come out, we don't know. And maybe he just put tattoos on himself to pass the time.
Their relationship
I don't know.
I love their relationship because it's like, if Batman will never kill him. And the Joker really doesn't want to kill Batman.
Because he's too much fun. Yeah.
He does sometimes. Yeah. Yes, he tries to.
But he only does if he knows they're both going to go out in a big soiree type of deal.
He likes the whole entire the spectacle of it.
Yeah.
And everything.
He loves the game.
Yeah, like what you're saying is, with Batman retired, the Joker's sitting there being like, well, what the fuck do I do now?
The animated series says it best when there's a time where you think the Batman's gone, and he says, without Batman, I have no punchline. And that's basically sums him up very, very well. Anyway, from what I've seen, and especially the new trailer that was released, there's a scene where Joker dives in after Harley after she goes into a vat of chemicals, and I think it doesn't take place. I don't think it has to do with her origin, because the way it looks like it's taking place
like later in the movie.
Yeah, and you can see
the dye is leaking out.
So I assume that she's going to be, reborn, because she's going to lose her tattoos. She's going to lose her dye in her hair, and she's in the New 52 origin. She was basically put in the same chemicals he was to make her fully, white-skinned like he is. But that's him basically like making her. And I assume, because he jumps in after her, that the acid is going to go, or whatever, chemical is going to go over his skin and get rid of all of his tattoos. He's going to be reborn
Let's hope.
That's what I assume. That's because I think what's happening is that if you watch the trailers for Batman v Superman, Lex isn't Lex Luthor yet. He's basically Lex, becoming Lex Luthor.
He's younger Lex when he still has a head of hair.
And so I think he's going to lose that hair because of Superman and Batman. And then
he's going to lose it in the experiment making Doomsday.
Yeah, I mean, again, and if you've seen all the trailers, that's not a spoiler. So
it's not a spoiler if they spoil it in a trailer.
But I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think Luthor is going to become the Lex Luthor that we know in the comics, and I think Joker is going to go back to being the Joker that we know. It's just them coming out of this whatever they've been doing, basically.
See, my whole theory is they've said in a lot of interviews that the Joker is not part of the Suicide Squad.
Oh no, he's not. He's just going to be involved.
I know, but I'm still sitting here being like, I think that he's going to be like a mini antagonist.
Oh yeah. But there's going to be something bigger.
It's like in a video game, there's like the mini-boss before the main boss.
Yeah.
He's there still fucking with these other guys, just being like, "Oh, Harley got out! Like, I want Harley back!"
The thing is, too, is
getting her away from the other group, and like that.
Yeah, and is she going to betray them and other stuff? Like, but also, you can't have Batman in one movie and Harley in another movie and not talk about Joker. It's just kind of like where is he? Like, what is he even doing?
Movie suicide.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much. You need to bring in Joker. What I hope they don't do, and again, this is all fan rumor. This isn't like anything confirmed. People have rumored that he's going to be. I think I've said this before, that he was going to be Jason Todd, who made himself the Joker. Why he has the tattoos is because Joker tattooed onto him like it would be horrible. No. Trust me, I'm not on board for that. Like, I hope they don't do that.
If they do an entire Red Hood movie live action,
that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. I think they want to make the next Batman movie Red Hood, so I don't assume that's what they're going to do, because that would be terrible. Great,
because if they introduce the whole Jason Todd murder,
what I'm saying,
then go on to a Red Hood movie, that would be awesome.
Yeah, because what's going to happen, at least what I assume they're planning, is you're going to find out about Jason Todd, obviously, in the first Batman Superman movie, and then in the solo Batman movie, it's going to go all into the mythologies of the Robins, and you're going to find out where everything is.
That would be a great way to introduce Robin instead of, "Oh, you're an orphan? You should go by your real name, Robin."
I don't know. But see, okay, so here's the thing. Like, I don't mind that in The Dark Knight Rises, because that's its own continuity. That's a one-off thing, and they were never going to have Superman in the same universe as that character. They just kind of moved on and they made their own universe. But if you're making a DC cinematic universe, if you have to make it like a representation of the comics, or you're adapting, you're making a whole big universe, if they did that whole Jason Todd being the Joker thing, you've ruined a lot of things. You've ruined Batman, because he might have had to kill the original Joker. And then you have Jason Todd being the Joker, which is horrible, because you want him to be Red Hood and have a whole Red Hood movie. And then you've also ruined Joker, because Joker's no longer a mystery. He's Jason Todd pretending to be Joker. So you've ruined all those things.
Although it would be awesome if then the real Joker comes back and it's just like...
And just shoots him or something?
Like, "What are you doing imitating me?" And just like...
If Joker came back and shot him, maybe I accept it, but that probably wouldn't happen.
No, that would definitely not happen.
Yeah, so just have Joker be Joker, have Jason Todd come back as Red Hood in the next solo Batman movie, and then have it just be that.
We're devoting too much time to Joker.
Okay, so let's talk about
characters.
Well, you have Will Smith as Deadshot, which is awesome, I think, because I think he's going to be able to play a charming
Will Smith in like any movie is gold.
Well, him and
unless
After Earth or Wild Wild West, his two biggest failures of all time. But
I didn't say Will Smith and his family. I said Will Smith solo.
Either way, but him playing a charming anti-hero is right up his alley. I don't know why people keep trying to make Jay Courtney happen, but he's already Australian, and him playing an angry Australian isn't that far-fetched. So I think he can do Captain Boomerang
kind
justice.
of redundant, angry Australian.
Let's cease and desist.
If you're angry, you can write letters to this address.
No. So you have Katana. They're already getting into the magic stuff, because Katana's
that's what I feel like that Marvel is lacking. They're
building up to it. They're building up with Doctor Strange now and all that. So that's coming.
Thor, they were slowly building.
No, Thor wasn't magic. It was alien technology so advanced it comes off as magic. I'm just saying.
Mjolnir isn't magic.
I'm just saying, like, that's how
the nuts and bolts in Mjolnir.
That's another reason why I had trouble with the first Thor movie. Okay, look, we're getting on that. We're getting off topic, right. But yes, no, you're right. They're getting into the magic stuff. Katana, you can see her sword absorbs souls. Yeah, so they got that going, which is awesome. Let's see.
I've heard that they made a video game about that called Soul Calibur.
Well,
joking.
I don't know.
Continue.
What was the other thing? So there's Killer Croc. Looks pretty cool.
He looks awesome.
Yeah.
I like the look of him in this one.
That was the coolest thing, because I didn't like him in the crew picture that they released beforehand, and then I saw that the effects that they're actually using on him, and I was like, oh, okay, he looks... I mean, I wanted him to be like a giant, but like he looks good.
He looks
within
the realm of the movies and everything, he looks realistic enough.
Yeah.
For such a unrealistic character, he looks realistic
from the comics.
enough.
Yeah. The thing is, too, you could also gradually devolve him over time, because even in the comics he gets like more animalistic over time. So you could have him morph.
Let's put it this
too.
way: he doesn't look like a Goomba from Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh, good lord. But so you have what else do you have? You have Diablo, who shoots fire, and you have Slipknot, who can tie knots and stuff. And yeah, so I think it's kind of assumed. I think it's assumed those guys are going to be the ones that die in Suicide Squad. I think that's kind of a given. I feel like
my last thing that I'll say about Suicide Squad: if they make a sequel, they've got a bunch of big A-listers, right? Well, some big A-listers to promote the new movie.
The thing
if
was,
they make a sequel, who are they going to have for the sequel? Is it going to be like?
No, the thing is that when the comic was originally made in the 80s, now Suicide Squad had existed before then. It was called the Suicide Squadron. Its original name, Task Force X, which they call themselves Suicide Squad. But it was more of a military thing, and it was more like people who had survived these great catastrophes would go. And so when they rebooted it, one of the main reasons that they did it was that it was during after Crisis on Infinite Earths, and it was a more serious time in comics when they wanted to do more with like the drug dealers and less about the bank robbers. Mm-hmm. So pretty much both, DC had all these like old type villains that people weren't interested in anymore, like Captain Boomerang. Like, what are you gonna do with Captain Boomerang?
It's a way to rejuvenate it.
Yeah, but so you have them.
Stanley with Captain America.
You have all these villains with certain powers. It's like, how do you use them accordingly? You make a Suicide Squad to do certain covert missions. If they get caught, you deny all plausibility, and then they get blown up or they get killed. Well, you know what I mean. But like, that's it. Like, and so it was a cool idea, and the original run was like 66 issues, but it made a huge impact on later writers and stuff like that. And they've since redone it in New 52 and stuff. That's where they brought in Harley.
It would be interesting if Marvel ever had like a Suicide Squad. Like,
well, they do technically. They have the Thunderbolts. That's what it's called.
Yeah, but the Thunderbolts have other A-list people in it.
Well, I'm saying what I'm saying.
Punisher was Punisher, Ghost Rider, Red Hulk. Like Deadpool is even part of like Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts is a lot more A-list than rejuvenating other.
I'm just saying, like Suicide Squad did
villains. You think like
if
you had from like Spider-Man era 1, like those mobster guys that came back and like, oh my god, like these guys came back, like they're mobsters, like
I don't know.
You bring back like the old school characters.
But like, I could see Thunderbolts doing like Electro or something like that, or Sandman, letting them loose to do a mission or something.
But even still, I consider those big name villains.
But again, Suicide Squad was a cool comic, and I like the fact that they're doing this. So I feel the movie will be better than it looks, even. And I mean,
I'm still open to it, as I said before when I first started this.
But like I said, and this is the main thing I have to point out, because again, I agree with you with the tattoos on Joker. I don't like them. I think what's going to happen is Joker's going to become Joker again, and Luthor is going to become the Luthor that we know. It's going to be them becoming the villains that we want.
How funny it would be if Luthor actually like shaves his head.
And that's just it?
Instead of losing his hair.
Oh no, maybe he just lost enough of it, and it looks ridiculous, so he has to shave it.
There's a whole
like
scene
patches.
Like a montage of him looking in the mirror in like black and white, picking his head. Like
it'd be a bit much, but
like, hello, darkness, my old friend.
I would love if the last shot of like Batman v Superman is after all the heroes have made up and they figured out.
Oh, it'd be great if he's like running his hand through his head, and then he loses.
He probably is going to have that. That probably is going to happen.
Hair, and then it goes to credits.
Apparently, Jason Eisenberg had an interview where he said that's like one of his, because there is a scene like that where he's losing his hair. He said that's one of the best scenes he's filmed, is that scene, and I was like, okay.
I didn't hear that, but that's awesome.
I don't know, so we'll see what happens with it. But I guarantee you, if it happens, I will lose my mind. If they have the last scene being after all the heroes have figured out what's going on.
You're gonna be the guy who stands up and claps.
No. But like, there's gonna be a scene where, all the heroes are going to be nice and whatnot, and then it's going to go to LexCorp again, and it's going to open with like an elevator or something, and he's going to come out in the suit, like a Lex Luthor suit, not the hipster stuff he's been shown in lately in the stills. Shaved head, looking professional, and looking to Mercy, his secretary, assistant, and being like, Mercy, let's get to work or something, and meaning that he's going to do bad stuff.
Speaking of shaved heads, let's move on to a different topic.
Sorry. Okay. Wonder Woman.
X-Men Apocalypse. No, I was gonna go with.
No, we're still on DC. We're still on DC. Well,
I was trying to.
What did you think of the What did you think of the Wonder Woman footage? it's very brief.
It's interesting that like the way that they're taking it is that she's been here a while and that she's been kind of hiding, and then the big conflict brings her out. I like that take on it, that she didn't just show up.
Yeah.
That she's already been here for a while, which makes me wonder, her solo movie, is it going to take place in the past?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's World War I.
It's it's going to be Captain America.
Well, this is
not saying Captain America, but like takes place in the past.
No, but I want to make that point because this is what's interesting is that in the original comics, like she appeared in the golden age of comics, but she appeared in World War II. Like her whole origin, I mean, apart from her being,
I don't know shit about Wonder Woman.
Okay, well that's another reason why they need to make the movie because like her origin isn't as well known as Superman or Batman. She's like one of the superheroes.
Well, I know that she's like the goddess and all this other stuff. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I'll talk more about that later. But basically, she was on Paradise Island or Themyscira, the Amazon island, and they could see what Man's World was doing, and they saw World War II. And she said to her mom, like, I think we should go, like, as an ambassador. Someone needs to help out the Allies, like America, and help them defeat, the Scourge. Like, she was made basically as a propaganda tool in the comics. But she went over.
Wonder Woman and Razor Mighty Shield.
No, but she hasn't changed that much. Like the guy who wrote her made her like a real feminist icon. She was tough. She was smart. She could fight, and she could do anything as good as the men could do.
She could deflect bullets from her wrists, even if they're shot at her ankles.
I don't know. It's comic, but
the old TV shows where like they're like
I haven't watched the Wonder Woman TV show.
Like, ping 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 ping. It's all over like around like her like chest and her waist, but it's like deflecting all of them.
I think she's bulletproof. Honestly, I don't know, but what was the thing though? Yeah, so she was a World War II thing, and now I think it's kind of interesting that they've changed it to World War I. I mean, again, they might be trying to distance themselves from trying to copy Captain America. They want to show a different, because this is the thing, World War II was a brutal war, obviously. But
every war is a brutal war.
No, but I mean, like, World War I was still, like, kind of old school. It was still a lot on the battlefield. There wasn't so many planes flying over and doing stuff. Like, there was mustard gas. There was, like, people dying in trenches. There was, like, rats as big as dogs because they were eating the dead bodies. Like, there was, it was a messed up...
RUSs. Huh? I don't believe they exist.
God. Princess Bride referenced to the death of many men in war.
Oh, come on.
I love it. Okay.
It's no fun if you tell them what the joke is.
Anyway, yeah, so I think it's interesting them bringing World War I. Now, what I've heard is that this is what was, not, I guess, spoiled. They know that people are going to watch the movie anyway, and people know comics, but they've said that she's 5,000 years old, that she's coming out of retirement, too, because of Superman. But she's basically been in Man's World, watching Man's World, and that she saw what humanity did at some point, and then just kind of gave up. It was like I've had enough, As
many people do.
Well, yeah, as many people in real life do. What I assume, and this is the thing too, she's only 5,000 years old because she's been on Themyscira Island all that time, being an immortal, and then she's been an immortal, but she didn't come probably to Man's World until World War I. So she's been
ultimate cougar.
Yeah, so she's been in our world probably since World War I. I assume that this is my theory. Steve Trevor, who's her human love interest in the comics, and she's who she's going to meet in the Wonder Woman movie. I think what happens is Steve Trevor and her have a relationship, and then Steve Trevor's called back again for World War II, and he dies in World War II.
And that's what turns her off.
That's what turns her off, because she loses someone close to her, like, and at this point she's like, World War II, what's next? World War III, I'm done. Like, I just forget it, you guys are pathetic, like, she's just tired of it. But
because the Rainbow Bridge is destroyed, she can't go back to Asgard.
No, she can go back to Themyscira anytime she wants. I don't know. I don't even know if they're going to do the invisible jet. I would love if they did it, but I'd be interested to see if they do. It would be great if Batman made her the invisible jet and gave it to her. That'd be great.
If Batman can make an invisible jet, why doesn't he make everything invisible?
Well, no.
The invisible Batmobile, the invisible Bat Sub.
Well, because people will see because he wants people to know the Batmobile and the Batplane are coming. I feel like that's not Batman's
part of
motive.
The intimidation.
Yeah, Batman is in the shadows, but he loves the intimidation, I think, more.
The invisible bat suit, Emperor's new clothes.
Yeah. But what I loved is that in the footage they have Wonder Woman walking through mustard gas. That was awesome. I thought that was really cool. Is there anything that you liked from it? I mean, did you like how she looks? I don't know.
Of course I like how she looks. She looks hot as hell.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, like, did it seem like Wonder Woman to you? I mean, from what you know of Wonder Woman.
from what I know of Wonder Woman, it looks up to par. I mean, of course, it's another one of those where I've only seen so much, so there's only so much I can judge upon.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know a lot more about DC than I do. You know a lot more about Wonder Woman, so your judgment on it is influencing mine a little bit. I think it looks good. It'll be another superhero movie. I'm hoping. This is the thing. You know that I like Marvel more, but I'm still hoping for good DC.
But but there's stuff at DC that you like and you want to see done made well.
Both of them
to do well.
Do well.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. I love DC more, but I want good Marvel stuff.
Well. So I hope it's good. I hope it's not another Green Lantern.
No. Here's the good thing about Green Lantern. This is I don't mean as the film itself.
Deadpool makes fun of him?
No, it does. But here's the thing. Green Lantern is actually kind of like a saving grace if you really think about it, because Warner Brothers have had like the superhero bombs more or less. They had like Batman and Robin. They've had Superman 3 or whatever you want to call it, and then the 4 one wasn't even them. It was I think Canon Film at that point. But they've had like the Catwoman, one-off things. But the thing is, Green Lantern, in the comics anyway, especially at that time when he came out, he was a big hero. Like, they had just got done with all of the stuff in the comics, like Brightest Day and Blackest Night, which was a huge thing.
I've heard a bunch of different things about 2 or 3 different Green Lanterns coming out in movies.
Yeah.
Recently.
Well, okay.
Well, not recently, but...
We'll get on that. But just, the thing is that Green Lantern is one of the big heroes. He's not, like, necessarily Superman, Batman level, but he has a huge fan.
He's one of the few people who kill Superman just by, like, thinking he wants to.
Yeah, I mean, I can...
That was a what-if comic.
I'm trying to think about that, but sorry, the comic brain going off. But, Green Lantern was one of the big heroes. So they already knew what Marvel was doing, so they're like, okay, let's start our cinematic universe, and let's start with Green Lantern. Like, you already know that the execs, whoever wrote that, didn't know anything about comics. You obviously have to start with Superman, which is what they did later. But Green Lantern... again, this is the same time that Batman is coming out, the Batman trilogy, which is good. But they know, like, okay, let's start up. Let's do this. Because it bombed so terribly, and I mean, really, it wasn't like the worst thing ever made. I think they made back their budget. They barely made back their budget. But the money they spent in advertising for it, they lost all that money. They lost a lot of, like, millions and millions and millions of dollars. So the good thing about Green Lantern is because of how much of a failure it was, I think it kickstarted things into Warner Brothers being like, maybe we should collaborate with somebody that knows this material better. Right. I mean, Jeff Johns was involved, but you can tell that he didn't have a lot of say in what, like how the direction should have gone. They had Martin Campbell, who, I love Martin Campbell. He did good Bond films. He made The Mask of Zorro, which is still one of my favorite movies ever. He's a good director, but obviously he didn't,
Really? Mask of Zorro is one of your favorite movies ever?
Mask of Zorro.
I'm not judging. I never knew that.
I mean, maybe not in my top 20, but it's definitely like, if it comes on TV, I'll definitely watch it. Mask of Zorro is a good action adventure movie. But okay, anyway.
Great cast.
Yeah. Martin Campbell is a good director, but obviously he didn't know what to do with the material. I feel, I just feel like there was a lot of misdirection and people didn't know they rushed into the film, basically. That's how it felt. I love Ryan Reynolds, but...
he's even said that he was going in there being like,
there was no script!
Do we have a script yet?
Yeah, there was no script!
We're going to start filming without a script?
Okay, exactly, right there.
Writing it as you're filming, that should be a flag for it.
Yeah, but, I mean, and I love Ryan Reynolds, but even when I heard him as Hal Jordan, I was like, I wouldn't cast him as
Wilder with a ring?
Like, I wouldn't cast him as Hal Jordan. I mean, like, he has some aspects of the character, but I don't know. In the movie,
Don't make my suit green or animated.
But that movie, I think, kind of jump-started and made them collaborate a little bit more and try to figure out more of a balance.
It made them realize that there's a lot more of a fan base for a lot of these comic book movies, and that they should actually make them worth seeing.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it doesn't work for every studio. Like, I don't know where Fox is with Fantastic Four, but they honestly should just give the rights back to Marvel at this point. I mean, the last
Marvel's first family should go back.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the new Fantastic Four, but
I still haven't seen it either.
No, but
that should be a movie that we should watch together and Mystery Science Theater the shit out of it.
We might have made the joke at some point, but we made the joke that basically we have our friend Dan, who is a massive movie guy, and he always has at least something positive to say about every movie he sees.
He works in a movie theater and sees a lot of movies, and he critiques a lot of them.
But he he still has a positive outlook on almost every movie he sees. He went to see Fantastic Four, got back to me. He didn't have anything positive to say about it. Like,
and that is so rare because he normally has at least something good to say about even terrible movies.
Yeah,
he saw Fan-Fortastic or however the hell you want to call it, and there was nothing good he said about it.
Yeah. Okay. And that's pretty much what the synonymous review from all the fans anyway. At least were just like, what? Not that's synonymous. I'm having trouble with words today. Unanimous. Yes. Thank you. I'm having trouble with words today.
That's okay.
But anyway, that and critics fucking hated it too. Like, no one liked this fucking movie. Okay. Back off terrible comic book films onto ones that are at least trying. They announced that they're going to try to make a Green Lantern Corps movie. Now, what this means in the comics, because you don't know this because you're not, you do more Marvel, but there's, I mean, in Green Lantern,
I know that there is a Corps of Green Lanterns.
No. I'm saying you don't know. So on Earth, in the Green Lantern universe, there's obviously more than one Earth Green Lantern, but there's...
See, that I didn't know. I thought that there was one at a time. No. I know that there has been multiple Green Lanterns on Earth, but I thought there was one at a time.
So, there's the Golden Age Green Lantern, who was Alan Scott, but he's not connected to the Green Lantern Corps. He gets his power from somewhere else. He just shares sort of the name, basically. He's part of the JSA. That's a whole other thing I'll talk about later. But you have Hal Jordan, who was the original one for years and years and years, and then he went crazy because the 90s happened, and that's a whole other arc. But
he drove everyone crazy.
Yeah, he went nuts, and then Kyle Rayner took over for a while, and he was the Lantern. And then while he was a Lantern, Guy Gardner came into the mix, who was supposed to have been like Hal Jordan's replacement if something had gone wrong. He came into the mix somehow. I don't know. Guy Gardner's sort of like that one-off thing that just sort of stuck around in comics. And they had another guy, John Stewart, who took it over for a while. But at this point in the comics, they're all simultaneously all still Green Lanterns, because Hal came back and was redeemed. And so they're all just Green Lanterns at this
point. I have a question for you. Who makes the rings? They've all got these rings. Who's
the rings come from the main battery source on Oa, and they're made, and then they're given off into a new sector.
They got like the green blacksmith or the green jeweler.
Look, I love...
Every kiss begins with green.
Oh my god. But yeah, I could go way onto the Green Lantern mythology, but what's been happening is that you had Hal Jordan in like the original Green Lantern movie, which everyone hated pretty much. I mean, when I look back at the Green Lantern movie, I see it as more of like as like Ben Affleck's Daredevil. There was some stuff they did right from the comics, but a majority of the movie is just oversaturated and just kind of ridiculous.
Why don't you bring it up?
I'm sorry. This new one, Jeff Johns, who redeemed who is the writer of Blackest Night and Brightest Day, who redeemed the whole Green Lantern franchise, announced it and says basically what they're going to do is they're going to introduce all the Green Lanterns, basically all of them, because it's kind of made from like.
How long is the movie going to be? Like 8 hours long? All of the Green Lanterns?
It's still very far down the line. It's going to be out in like 2020, so we don't know what's going to happen. But it's kind of assumed from this DC universe that Superman is basically like reawakening all the heroes, basically. Some heroes have been around for a while. Wonder Woman, Batman.
Yeah.
So Green Lantern might have been around for a while. Hal Jordan might have been a Green Lantern for some time, but maybe not active on Earth. Maybe because again, most of his adventures, even in the comics, take place in space. Let me see here. So
that sparked a question in my mind. You're saying he reawakened everybody. With the Supergirl TV show and Martian Manhunter. I have not watched Supergirl, the TV show. I obviously read all the stuff about Martian Manhunter on that TV show. Is there going to be a tie-in with Martian Manhunter?
No. So the TV shows are not connected to the movie universe. All the TV shows. Yeah. Here's the thing. So this is what
I knew Flash and Arrow weren't, but Supergirl isn't?
None of the TV shows. Gotham, Supergirl, none of them are connected to the main the main movie universe, as far as I know.
I think that's a
lot of people agree with you. No, a lot of people agree with you, but here's the thing. The DC loves the multiverse. The multiverse being many separate universes, many different Earths, all with similar in continuity. Honestly, and this happened in the special. Kevin Smith talked about this, but he couldn't, again, he wasn't sure what he could say and what he couldn't say, but he mentioned that this was cut out of his talking with Jeff Johns. He says, man, so there's two different Flashes, right? Wouldn't it be cool if Ezra Miller showed up in the Flash TV show and is like, hey, I'm another Flash from another world, basically. And Jeff Johns just remained silent. Not because he wanted to, but because he couldn't say anything. So what they're going to do, I assume, is they're going to introduce they're also, you have to understand too, they're also competing with Marvel, so they need to find a way to beat them to the punch. They're going to introduce basically a multiverse. So basically, that's why you have one Flash on TV and you have another Flash in the movies, because they're different Flashes on different Earths. Same thing with Green Arrow. Again, they're going to get the Green Arrow probably at some point in a movie.
I see that as a gamble. It can.
Do you know what was also a gamble?
It can be amazing. Well, the first Avengers movie was a
huge gamble too. That's what I'm saying. But honestly, it's not that far. It's not that far fetched. One, for DC fans. Two, the fact that you're already introducing one giant universe and people are already getting used to the concept.
Well, I think it's not that much of a gamble for already established fans. Already established fans already know it and recognize it and are fine with it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the new people, the general people who don't know anything, for them to introduce this whole multiverse thing. And
I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to cut you off again because off the top of your head, what do you think is the most popular DC TV show right now? Which one do you think has the most fans? Off the top of your head, what would you say?
I haven't watched any of them.
I know, but I have. Well, I've watched Arrow and Flash, and I've watched.
If I haven't watched them, I can't really.
No. I think the one that has the most fans and the one that's the most popular. At
Arrow?
No.
Flash.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
They've done the multiverse in the Flash already. Yeah, I knew that.
They're already tackling the multiverse.
Yeah, but then again, with the Flash, the whole multiverse and time travel is.
Well, that's actually where the multiverse. This is comic book history. The whole multiverse concept came from the Flash comics.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But what I'm telling you is, I think what they're going to do is they're going to indoctrinate everybody through the Flash TV show to get them understanding what multiple universes and multiple worlds are, and then they're basically just going to, even increase it more later in the movies and stuff like that. But it's a great way to beat Marvel to the punch. If they're smart, that's what they should do. They should just make it a multiverse. Because honestly, it's also a good way too, because creatively, it's very smart. Because think about it. Marvel, has to be restrained on what they can talk about and what they can do with certain TV shows, and because if something happens in a certain show, it's going to be like, well, why wasn't this character here then? If this happened at this time,
the difference I'm thinking is that Marvel is holding themselves back right now to slowly indoctrinate new fans and old fans alike into different things.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not shitting on Marvel's their overall plan. I know that they have. I know how they have a plan, and their approach is very slow. But it pays off. I respect that, and I respect that they have one giant connection.
I mean, they're just waiting until Avengers 5 to bring in Mickey Mouse.
Oh God! But yeah, the point being is that they're going to slowly introduce their. I think they even talked about multiverse teasing in Doctor Strange. That's the rumor I've heard. But what I'm telling you is that. It's okay with DC doing it because DC is I'm talking just comics now. DC has always been about the multiverse. Marvel has a multiverse, but they don't tap. I don't feel they tap into it as much as DC does. DC sort of lives in the multiverse.
The only series that I think really taps into it is the zombie series.
The zombie series totally taps into it. I've been reading that.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, it gets really much into it.
A lot of the other series barely tap into it. They might from now and then.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Series, majority of the zombie series is all about the.
But don't get me wrong. Just like the comics, I love the fact that Marvel is one giant connected universe. You have some multiverse stuff in there, but really it's all one universe.
Yeah.
Even the Ultimate Universe they just got rid of and mixed and got rid of in the new Secret Wars. So.
Or like the Spider-Man one where it's all Spider-Mans.
Yeah, the Spider-Verse. I didn't read that. I honestly hate Dan Slott and everything he's doing with Spider-Man, but that's a different podcast, different time. Let me think here. So,
DC Multiverse.
DC Multiverse. But what were we talking about originally? We're going back to the DC special. So yeah, that's what I see happening as far as what they want to do down the line and how they can have two Flashes, or probably have later two Green Arrows, or one Supergirl here.
Brought this up as Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, so Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter is just in that show. Now, this is the thing, too, because they're like, hey, Justice League, who is one of the biggest continuing Justice League members is Martian Manhunter. He's almost in every iteration of them. Where's Martian Manhunter? They're going by the New 52 slot, where it's basically Cyborg is in there. Now, this is the only thing. I think Flash and Cyborg will be more of the new heroes. They haven't existed that long. They're basically newbies, more or less.
Well, Flash is always a newbie.
No, but what I'm saying
is... He's not a newbie. His attitude is much more...
Yeah, but he hasn't... But they haven't been... Cyborg is probably going to get made in Batman v Superman and then be a member in Justice League by that point. But Flash will maybe not be in costume yet, and Aquaman has been around, but he hasn't been a hero. He's been more or less probably captured by Luthor, and then eventually he'll be released and be part of the team. I think they might be waiting for Martian Manhunter, maybe something dealing with Justice League, possibly. I don't know, because a lot of times they usually fight the White Martians a lot of the times, and the White Martians are the enemies to John Jones, Martian Manhunter's species. So I don't know. I think they're saving him for later. I feel bad because I've always considered Cyborg more of a Teen Titan. That's what I grew up knowing. Yeah.
Yep.
But the rumor is now too, because they want to make a Cyborg movie. This is supposed to be for like 2020. But there's already rumors because of the canceled TV show. There was supposed to be a Teen Titans live-action TV show, which they canceled from happening. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I think what they're going to do is they're going to make the Cyborg movie a Teen Titans film. And I know this because not only are teen movies becoming more...
Rise of the Titans?
Yeah. No, but not only are teen movies becoming more popular, like Avengers and Justice League and Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad, people want to see Cyborg be a Teen Titan. Not only that, you're going to have Nightwing somewhere they've already confirmed that Nightwing is in this universe. Nightwing exists. He's alive and kicking in somewhere in this universe. I think what's going to happen is
taking it down in Tijuana.
I think what's going to happen is you're going to see Cyborg and be like a leaguer for like Justice League 1 and 2, and then there's going to be some disagreement among them.
And he's going to branch off.
He's going to branch off. He'll already have made friends with Nightwing at some point.
And he's going to make the West Coast Avengers?
Yes. They're going to make the West Coast Avengers in a DC film. And then the world will implode. Yeah, and Nightwing's going to go, dude, listen, fuck this shit. Let's make our own team. And they're going to go off, and then next movie is going to be Teen Titans. I don't know.
And then Beast Boy shows up and...
No, honestly, so the main crew I want, because again, I grew up with the TV show, the animated TV show, which I loved. Now the Teen Titans Go bullshit
you want Robin, Cyborg, Raven, Starfire, Beast Boy.
Beast Boy, boom, right there. And then you know what they do for like either the first or second movie? They bring in Terra and they do the Judas Contract.
And then the shit hits the fan, and then
you have Deathstroke put out there, because Deathstroke is an enemy of the Teen Titans. Pretty much just take a lot from like the Mark Wolfman, George Perez run, which
was excellent. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of the TV show that they took from that run. So so a lot of cool stuff there. Okay, so let's get back to we talked about Wonder Woman. We talked about Suicide Squad. We talked about Batman v Superman for the most part. I feel like we covered most everything.
I think that was
all
the DC content. We talked about Aquaman. We talked about Cyborg.
Did you like the concept art from Flash and Cyborg and the Justice League? It looks cool, at least.
From what I saw of Cyborg, like the concept art for him was still concept art for him.
But it looks cool, right?
It looked cool.
Yeah.
I'll wait to see how it looks on film.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do.
You know me, I'm much more of a actual costume and prosthetic person.
I think a good portion of the costume will be CGI, and a part of it will be practical, depending on how much they want.
I would love it, even if it was still goofy looking practical. Nowadays, you can have them like 90% of it practical and do that 10% CGI to make it look awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely going to be CGI when he changes like his arm into a gun or something. You know,
like I said, that 10%. But if you have it 90% CGI. And
it's gonna
10% practical.
The lighting effect.
It just looks like a cartoon.
Here's the thing,
though. What I was saying about the Warcraft movie, whereas a lot of it is real and like half of it is CGI.
The thing I like about Zack Snyder as a director.
Wolverine Origins, I guess. Claws,
no. We're not talking about that movie.
Cartoon claws.
We're not talking about the movie maybe till later. We're talking about that. No. Okay. Sorry, I had flashbacks. Anyway.
PTSD from Wolverine Origins.
Not again, please. Why is he walking away from that helicopter? It's exploding with no reaction. Anyway, no, but the thing I like about Zack Snyder is he uses a lot of CGI, yes. But at least this is evident, at least in Man of Steel and Watchmen, which I use as prime examples with dealing with comic books. He uses practical sets when he needs to. He uses practical effects when he needs to. The costumes in Watchmen, the costumes in Man of Steel are real things. Yeah. I mean, with the exception of maybe Zod. Zod was a CGI effect as far as like his like tank armor, I guess you would call it, until he takes it off and then he's just flying in like a skin suit basically. But I've looked at behind the scenes on the effects with Man of Steel, and even the effects like when they're fighting in Smallville and he's flying towards somebody, the effect will be him flying, but where he stops and where he starts is a real person. So the way that they did the effect is they crafted it together to make it look real. So I see Cyborg being at least 50% practical, 50% CGI, depending on what makes sense.
Well, I've told you for a while that my standpoint on CGI is that CGI,
not knowing it's CGI. Or having
CGI,
it blend well.
CGI and 3D effects. It should be an enhancement, not the focus.
Yes.
The reason Jurassic Park was amazing is because Jurassic Park still used animatronics with CGI to enhance the scene and make it look better.
But the T-Rex eating the kids or trying to eat the kids was all real.
It was still a big giant puppet.
Yeah.
Like, if it was just a CGI T-Rex attacking a car, you'd look at it and be like, oh, it's a cartoon. Yep. Like, I was a child and I was still scared of that T-Rex because he looked real. Yeah. He felt real.
And that's why I had issue with Jurassic World. I mean, yes, the CGI T-Rex fighting the new T-Rex was awesome, but I knew it wasn't there. I knew that. I mean, granted, that's something you kind of have to make CGI. But even the effects with, like, the dinosaurs laying on the ground, they still made CGI, and I didn't get it. I'm like, why not just make it practical? Like, what's the point?
So, the same thing still applies to the superhero movies. Like I'm saying, like,
yeah.
When they're taking off, when they're landing, it should be real sets. It should be real actors. It should be real people.
Again, like, Green Lantern, you have to make a lot of CGI, but don't make the suit all CGI. Right? I understand its energy.
He should have been in a suit.
I understand its energy, but it's like, it still looks ridiculous.
How much of a budget you can't make a fucking costume for Ryan Reynolds? Granted, he might steal at the end of production, but
so here's the thing. Yeah, he did do that, which was awesome. I have a comic store I go to in New Hampshire. I don't want to name it now because the people I know that work there have left. I might have named it before, possibly, but there's a statue. For some reason, it hasn't sold for obvious reasons, but it's a statue of Green Lantern Ryan Reynolds, and it's like a 12-inch, 13-inch statue. I kind of want to buy it because as bad as the movie was, the statue actually looks really cool. And I want to meet Ryan Reynolds and have him sign it, just because I can have that ridiculous thing in my house and be like, oh no, it's signed by Ryan Reynolds at least. Like, I have that going for me. Like, it's one of those things I just want to get for, like, laughs and jokes. And then, don't get me wrong, like, immediately after I'd have him sign that, I'd have a much cooler Deadpool figure for him to sign.
Yeah, okay.
So he doesn't, like, just throw me out, like, get out of here.
He just looks at you and just like,
why? No.